Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, or whenever you may happen to be watching this video. I wanted to introduce myself. I know I asked you all a lot of questions about yourself, so I thought it only fair that I introduce myself as well. Okay, so who is Dr. Ayana Campoli? Let's see. So here's my family. My husband and I live with our children, Eliana and D'Angelo. Eliana is 4 years old and already assertive enough to one day be an educator. Very assertive. My parents live here in Georgia in Lilburn. My sister lives in Atlanta. My husband's parents and siblings are in Massachusetts. And D'Angelo just arrived January of 2018, so we're getting ready to celebrate his first birthday. I myself grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Houses there tend to be a little closer together than they are here. I attended Stuyvesant High School, where our mascot was the Peg Legs. I got my bachelor's at Duke University, and then I got a master's in special education at the University of Oregon. Later, I got a master's in learning and teaching from Harvard. And then finally, I got my doctorate from Harvard University in education policy, leadership, and practice. And I got that in 2014. So for years, my parents worried that I was never going to graduate and get a real job. So where have I worked? I have done some real jobs, I promise. I was an elementary school teacher. That was my first career. I was an elementary school teacher for 8 classes, and I also was an academic intervention specialist. So I was a classroom teacher for 9 years all total. And my first class of kids, oh my goodness, they must now be in their 30s because I started teaching in 1994. But I've taught in California is where I started. I also taught a year in Oregon, but I spent the bulk of my career teaching in Brooklyn, New York. You know how time goes on and you start getting tapped to do other things? I've had experiences teaching beginning teachers. I've taught for Teach for America as a curriculum specialist, and I was also an adjunct instructor at Mercy College where I taught new teachers basics of lesson planning and curriculum design and teaching literacy, teaching math, that kind of thing. I've done quite a bit of teacher leadership. I did workshops when I was a classroom teacher, did a lot of workshops, did a lot of peer mentoring as a classroom teacher. And I've taught instructional leadership. I worked for the Harvard Institute for School Leadership for several summers, and I worked with teams from schools where I was helping a team of like the principal and other school administrators along with a couple of teachers, or working with district leaders such as working with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, other district leaders. I worked with all of those groups and helping them develop action plans for their district. And I also did workshops ages ago for principals and teachers uh, in Brooklyn. I've taught scholar practitioners. These were doctoral students. Um, um, yes, mentored doctoral students, have been on a couple of doctoral committees. And I did a postdoc at the University of South Dakota and got to teach foundations of statistics. If you ever want to see people's faces go, ugh, tell them you teach statistics. Here at Augusta University, I'm an assistant professor here in the Advanced Studies and Innovation Department, but I teach folks who are any department in the College of Education. I've taught undergrads one of their first foundational classes on how to be a teacher. And then I've taught research to graduate students. So I've taught 6021, which some of you have taken, and at least one of you was in my class, Intro to Educational Research. I've also taught an action research class, 6410, Applied Research in Curriculum Instruction. And of course, my favorite class, EDUC 7021, Conducting Educational Research. I love teaching here. Go Jaguars. Okay, bye bye.